What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. We hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and I'm smiling and laughing because we have a fun one in store for you today. Dropping this video on Wednesday, June 29th, same day that we dropped the latest episode of the NFC East mixtape. In case you didn't know, quick little 101, the NFC East mixtape's a show we do that I do with Brandon Gowden, who was the me from our Philadelphia Eagles side at SB Nation. It's a crossover. We talk about the division. Obviously, there's a lot of fun back and forth between the Cowboys and the Eagles because we are rivals and we enjoy that rivalry. We obviously want to beat the Eagles. We obviously have a lot of fun when it happens, like it did last year. The Cowboys swept the Eagles, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And look, we're all fair. We're all objective. We can admit and acknowledge that the Eagles have had a really interesting and impressive offseason. I think the Eagles have made themselves a better football team. We've had some thoughts about the Dallas Cowboys. And overall, I think most of us would agree that the gap between Dallas and Philadelphia has closed. I don't know that any of us think that Philadelphia is one of the best teams in the NFL, but hey, maybe you do. Maybe somebody does. Whatever. Everyone's obviously entitled to their own opinion. But nevertheless, you have likely run into one or a few Philadelphia Eagles fans who is feeling rather confident in their team. It turns out, though, as my dog barks in the background, that Eagles fans are not the only people feeling confident in their team. These quotes, by the way, come courtesy of our friends at Bleeding Green Nation. Eagles running back Miles Sanders recently spoke and had this to say about the team when talking about A.J. Brown being there, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, et cetera, et cetera. You can obviously see this on your screen. Said, "Oh, man, we all feel like we're on an all-star team. So we feel great. We feel unstoppable." I'm not going to lie. Miles. This is not a good move if you are a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. If you're a Dallas Cowboys fan like I am, like you are, this is wonderful. We love to see this. We love to hear this. Why is this not a good move? I know some of you are young. We're on YouTube. You're who knows how old. But if you're a little bit older like I am, not quite old yet, it's a daily battle I deal with. But anyway, if you're a little older, you remember 11 years ago, in 2011 specifically, when the Philadelphia Eagles had a really impressive offseason on paper. Signed Nnamdi Asomugha. The Dallas Cowboys were in the mix on that. We all were kind of rooting for that at the time. Jason Babin, there were all sorts of moves. Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie. The Eagles seemingly loaded up in free agency. They also added a backup quarterback to the mix in Vince Young, who was obviously coming off his time with Tennessee and whatnot. Very different story. But Vince Young, of all people, in talking about the group, referred to them as the Dream Team. Yes, the same name given to the 1992 United States men's basketball team that obviously is maybe the greatest team in the history of professional sports, literally used that moniker. You do not do that. You do not say anything like that, because if you do not deliver on that, and the odds of you delivering that are obviously really, really, really low, it looks silly. And that's what happened to the 2011 Philadelphia Eagles. Also from the archives at Bleeding Green Nation is this bit that I would like to read to you. Of course, all this boasting completely blew up in the Eagles' face as they started the season, the 2011 season, by the way, 1-4 and would be 4-8 by week 13. They would end the season with a meaningless 4-game win streak to finish with an 8-8 record that made the whole mess look a bit better than it actually was. A year later, Andy Reid would be fired after going 4-12. Over those 2 seasons, I don't think we can count exactly how many times Dream Team was used as a taunt thrown in our collective faces. I still get a weird feeling in the pit of my stomach just writing the phrase. Yeah, I mean, that's what happens, right? When you write these checks, if you don't cash them, people remember. People don't forget. It's just kind of the way sports goes, and professional sports and fandom. We love to enjoy and revel in the rivalry. And so Miles Sanders saying this, that they're an all-star team, that they're unstoppable. Look, we understand. You're going to have confidence in your team, because the general response to this is, well, what do you expect him to say? He's got confidence in his team. Of course he does. Of course he has confidence in his team. But to act like you're an all-star team is a little bit silly. And maybe Miles Sanders regrets that phrase. Maybe he doesn't. But it is something that a lot of other people will not forget over the course of the season to come. And what's more, I tweeted this out and had a lot of Eagles fans in my mentions. The Eagles don't exactly have a lot of ground to stand on. I would like to show you, our wonderful viewer, a list of the quarterbacks that the Philadelphia Eagles have beaten over the last 2 years. I'm about to show you the list that contains every single quarterback that the Philadelphia Eagles have defeated over the course of the last 2 years. Now, to be fair, they started, obviously, last season, not 2021, but 2020, with Carson Wentz as their starting quarterback, so there's some crossover there, but this is the last 2 years that does include the final year of Doug Peterson and the first year of Nick Sirianni. I'm going to tell you now, it is not exactly a list of MVPs. Here are all of the quarterbacks the Philadelphia Eagles have beaten in the last 2 years, as you can read my tweet. We have Nick Mullins. This is in order, by the way. Daniel Jones twice, although the second victory came much later. Ben DiNucci, who could ever forget the night that DiNucci had to start for America's team on Sunday Night Football. Taysom Hill, that was the first start for Jalen Hurts. Matt Ryan, that was week 1 of this past season in 2021. Matt Ryan, a former MVP, obviously, but not who he once was, which is why I'm a little bit down on the Colts compared to most people. That's a different subject. Anyway, Sam Darnold, Jared Goff, Teddy Bridgewater, Trevor Siemian, Zach Wilson, Garrett Gilbert, and Taylor Heineke. This is it. This is every single quarterback who the Philadelphia Eagles have beaten over the course of the last years. And again, if you remove Nick Mullins and one Daniel Jones win and Ben DiNucci and Taysom Hill, those first 4 names, we're looking, if you go Matt Ryan and down and then throw in one Daniel Jones win, that's all their wins from last season. So just a year ago, the wins that the Eagles had were against Matt Ryan, Sam Darnold, Jared Goff, Teddy Bridgewater, Trevor Siemian, Zach Wilson, Garrett Gilbert, Taylor Heineke, and Daniel Jones, as mentioned. And I know some Eagles fans are going to say, well, if you look at the Cowboys schedule, it's basically the same thing. They basically beat the same quarterbacks. Yeah, that's true. Although you could say that the Cowboys also beat Mac Jones and beat Justin Herbert, took Tom Brady the distance, although if you lose, it doesn't really matter. But the difference is that no Cowboys player is coming out here saying we're an all-star team, we're unstoppable. It's quotes like that people grab onto, that people don't forget, that will come back and bite you at the end of a season if you do not over-deliver on those promises. And that's the boat the Philadelphia Eagles are in, and I don't think any of us feel all too mad about that. So, shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles for the daily laughs, the daily Eagles. We love you, except not really. My name is RJ Ochoa. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at RJ Ochoa, on TikTok at RJ.Ochoa. If emails more your speed, RJ.Ochoa at SBNation.com is how you can find me. We will be continuing our training camp preview series with defensive ends up next on Thursday, so be looking forward to that. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next time.